Looks
Okay,
good.
changing it up.
Looks good. Hi, Patrick. Hi, Mike. Hi, Fran.
Hi.
Oh,
Hello,
hello.
hello. Jeanette, hello. Paul, great to see you. Thanks for being here. Who invited you, Paul?
I think you did. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
okay. Well, great to meet you.
I it was in the last networking meeting, like
Okay.
yesterday or so.
Okay. Love it. Drew, great to see you.
To Suzanne.
Hi,
How is
Mike.
everybody today? Are we ready for this conversation today? What do you think of the topic?
Interesting.
Mm. Any other comments? Oh, Patrick, what are you having? I'm hungry.
Ham and cheese with a potato pancake in the middle, taco
Oh,
burrito thingy.
yeah, that sounds like carbs I'm not having right now.
Sounds good though.
Yeah, it does.
Sounds authentic Mexican to me.
Yeah.
All right, so what do we think of this conversation about you being the offer? Drew, do you want your note taker?
No, you can kick it out.
Yeah, before Dharma gets here. One of the things that uh has been really interesting for me in working on this, um, that identity that you have for yourself really does play a part in how you show up. There she is, the queen of showing up powerfully. Dr. Dorothy, how are you today, beautiful?
I'm doing marvelous, darling. It's good to see you. It feels like forever, and it's
I
only been a
know,
week.
I know. Geez, we skip a week and it feels like a lifetime. Feels like a lifetime. Faison, I haven't seen you in forever either.
Hi,
What's
Suzanne.
happening?
Hi, everybody.
How are you?
Being really good. How about you?
Good, 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 good. Yohav, he texts me frequently about the blunders of my emails, which is fabulous.
Sorry, I'm going to leave early today. I have another meeting, so don't
Oh,
be
okay.
offended.
Oh, never. I don't get offended over stuff like that. But thanks for telling me. Here comes Dharma and Al. Gordon, great to see you. Elsa, great to see you. All right, we got John coming in, the other John coming in. Awesome. Dharma, there she is. How are you?
I am amazing.
Wonderful. I'm just warming up the crowd for our stimulating conversation today. John Jew in the house. Great to meet you.
You too, Suzanne. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Nice to
Thank
see
you.
everybody.
Thank you. John Salick. Great to see you. Bobby Sullivan, Al Chen. Love, you got to be on camera for this because we want to know you. And great to see you, Al. How you doing? Holla in the house. All right. So let's get this conversation started. Dharma and I came up with this idea during one of our deep conversations. And this really stems from the work that I've been doing on myself for the past two years with Dr. Dorothy. And, really becoming who I'm capable of being energetically, um, affects how I show up, the confidence level of showing up, the confidence level in serving my clients, attracting clients, I call it now creating clients, because if I decide somebody could be a great client for me, I now have the confidence, the vibration, and the bravery required to show up and tell that person, I really think I can help you. And I had to go inward for this. It was not an outward course, there was nothing I could study. I had to discover who I was and what that looked like for me. And Dharma has done such a beautiful job of doing that exact same thing. Of course, it came out in one of our conversations that we wanted to play with this idea that when you become not only the best version of yourself, but when you become the product of your own offer, all of a sudden your offer sells more. Dharma, what do you have to say for your opening thoughts?
Well, I would have to say there is something really profound when this internal light bulb all of a sudden goes on and you realize all this stuff that we've learned, all the stuff that we have studied, yeah, it all matters.
Mm-hmm.
But unless we are internally aligned, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the power of landing, coming home, arriving and standing and being our true authentic self. And I believe those were the conversations that you and I had where we were like, oh yeah, yeah. And it's not just in my head anymore.
Mm.
It is not just in my head that I think this may be right. There's this, I describe it, there is this feeling, there's an internal sensation of confidence, self-reassurance, self-reliance that is undefeatable. You cannot shift it because nobody is like you or me, and you stand in that with so much more power.
Yeah, you say it nicer than I do. I say a colorful word to describe that. But I want you, everyone, to think about one word that describes your energy on a regular basis and put it in the chat for me. And part of the reason I have you put these words in the chat, or maybe your short answers, is because I save the chat, and that information, not your name, but the information that you share here helps Dharma and I in the future create amazing content and do incredible events like this and have conversations like that. So in the chat, one word that describes your energy on a regular basis when you're showing up for networking, maybe meeting people, even on a one-on-one call. How is that energy described? Oh, thank you, Elsa. I don't see anyone in the waiting room right now. Hala says enthusiasm. I totally agree. Hala. Drew, enlightening. John, dominating. Do you see that as a positive or a negative? Let me ask that of John Salick. Positive or negative?
I definitely see it as a positive.
Yeah.
You know, kind of following up with what Dharma said, I believe a lot of people are afraid to be their true authentic self because they're like, well, what if they don't like the real me? Me, I look at it the other way. I'm very big on perspective. I want the right people to like me for who I am, and the people that don't like me for who I am, I want them to know right up front and, you know, stop wasting each other's time and go our separate ways kind of thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't call you dominating. I think you have a confidence to your tone of voice that can be intimidating, but I think it's direct. I think it's direct and it's confident. I wouldn't use a negative word to describe yourself then. Just my thought.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Calm and listening. Gordon says, I prefer to be hated for who I am rather than loved for who I'm not. Oh, look at my philosopher friend dropping great wisdom. Thank you, Gordon. Fran, tell me about confident anxious.
Yes, you know, I'm a
That's like one of my
Gemini.
words over here.
I'm a Gemini. I'm always both fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know, it's an interesting thing. I have a confidence. I know what I can do. It's
Mhm.
just getting through that initial conversation because I'm anxious that people won't get what I do.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you get what you do?
Oh, yeah.
All right then. All right, we're good
Okay.
then.
All right.
We're good though. Dorothy says powerful, totally agree. So I love this where we're going. Now, my next question, and then we're going to go to Dharma because we're going to have this conversation in front of you a little bit here. If you were to describe yourself at your worst, what would that, and you don't have to put that in the chat, but at your worst, are you the direct opposite of that energy or something else? And what does that look like for you? We can only be aware of our best, in my opinion, when we're aware of our worst. So boy, I effed that up the other day and I'll never do that again. That's the only way. If we take honest look at that, it's the only way we can grow. Dharma, your thoughts?
Well, it makes me laugh because it's what is the complete opposite of what I typically show up as?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a bit of a bitch.
Mm.
And it's when I am very aware when I am reaching my limits. And I have also learned to assert myself so that I'm not getting into this emotional, energetic kind of a response where
Yeah.
the nervous system starts to fire. And I see myself, the horse is out of the barn, and you are way down the road, and you find yourself a little bit later, and it's like, what just happened? And that's where, yeah, I can be that complete opposite of calm, the yin and the yang, but allowing myself to hang out in the middle and never getting really excited and never getting really upset. So yeah, it's when we catch ourselves in these moments, that's when the neurons within our brain starts to fire differently. So this self-awareness that you're talking about, if we are aware of either one, that's when we actually start to make changes in our neural pathways.
I agree. I think that being willing to look at that, I mean, some people call it the shadow side or the dark side or the negative habits that we've gotten ourselves into. The only way to make improvements is to know why would I do that? Or why would I show up like that? And that's where change comes from. Anyone have any thoughts to share on that negative side showing up? Hi, Stefan. Great to see you. Thanks for joining. Just unmute and talk. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, okay. I was gonna let Elsa go so I can steal what she said.
Oh, okay. You wanted to steal what she said because she says smart stuff? Okay.
Exactly. And that's me
Okay.
showing up at my best as other people's work. Go for it,
Yes.
Elsa.
I think sometimes it's a more powerful question to ask ourselves when we are in that space of what we don't want, just saying, what do I want instead? Because otherwise we get stuck in the negative energy and trying to, pick ourselves apart.
Oh yeah, it's not about fixing for sure.
No. But if we then we can say, I didn't want to behave like that. How did I want to behave? And then start training our brain to think more in that way that we do want to show up rather than what we don't want to show up as. Yeah, exactly. Who are you being? It not only who are you being, but is that in true alignment with who I want to be?
I'm going to ask a question there, Elsa, before we go to Dorothy, and then we'll come to you, John. You have to be that with yourself first, right, Elsa? I mean, you have to be that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
You cannot, I talk about self-leadership, right? You
Yeah.
cannot tell other people how to behave because they
Right.
can come off as their very worst self, but you can maybe reflect that back to them and say, you don't seem yourself today. What's up?
Mm-hmm.
But we really can only ask that question of ourselves. Is this really
Yeah.
who we want to be?
Yeah. Love it. All right, let's go to you, Dorothy.
But, I was so patient.
Oh, all right, Mike. You put your hand
What?
up and then I'll keep track of you. How's that?
So, but you
Your
said just
digital
go.
hand.
You
Your
said just
digital
go.
hand. Your digital hand. Well, now we're going to hands because everybody's raising hands. So get with the program. Sorry. Dorothy.
I was going to let Mike go.
I wasn't.
All right, and you're in touch. So there you go. What I was going to say is that the lower self always shows up in fear.
Yeah.
So, so it's an acknowledgement that when somebody's coming at you from that place, or you're coming at yourself from that place, what are you in fear of right now? Right. And when you were talking earlier about, as I referenced it, it's owning the I am, owning the essence of who I truly am at the soul, at the heart and soul level, right? At the energetic pattern. When I can own that fully, it means I've owned all of my vulnerabilities. And there isn't a one of us that doesn't have moments of vulnerability, moments of, I can't do this, it's too hard, I don't know what I'm doing. We all have those moments, no matter how powerful or aligned with ourselves we are. When we don't have to pretend that doesn't exist within me. Oh, I've worked through that already. I've lost that. That's not here. No, you haven't. It's never getting rid of the lower self. It's never going away. To me, personal growth, emotional intelligence is about recognizing when I step into my lower self. There's a choice. Do I live there or do I go there? Every one of us goes there. Some people choose to live there. And that's the distinction, I think, when you recognize that that's not who I am, but it's where I go in my behavior, not in my essence. It's where I go in my behavior. I can step out of that behavior back to my essence, and then I come from my higher self again.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I do too. Can I ask you a question, Dorothy?
Surely.
So I have described it as when we become aware of our behavior, our lower self, it's often sometimes, especially when we're talking about anger, and managing anger is almost impossible. But when we create that pause and you choose, I created the vision of, imagine you have a door and you have these different emotions behind each of these doors. You have the choice to step into that space by opening the door and creating and expanding the pause of, I am aware I am touching the doorknob and I can open the door, have a peek, and then make the decision, do I really want to go in there or not? Speaking from a lower self perspective, would you have, I'm sorry, because I'm always curious. There's so many different ways to speak to the lower self and not opening the door. Is there a way that could expand that pause in between the vision of you got the doorknob, you jiggle the doorknob and you kind of want to peek in? Is there another way of expanding that pause before the reaction shows up and we're in it?
To me, the most powerful way to do that is through that level of self-understanding. And you spoke about anger, and in Western culture, anger is a negative thing, right? In Eastern culture, it's very different. Anger, so I don't try to control my anger. I rarely get angry. It rarely happens.
Exactly.
But when I do get angry, whether it's some dodo bird in front of me that stops at a yellow light when I want to keep going because I've got so many things I need to do, get your button, Gary, and wait till it turns red. It's things like that, right? So when I think I just want to slap this little sucker on both sides of his or her head, right? And it's like, okay, my thought comes down to whatever the example may be, I then laugh at the part of me that says, oh, you are so close to sainthood and yet 100 million miles away. All right, so let that go. And then I can laugh at my own craziness because it's not who I am, it's the behavior that showed up. And for me, whenever anger shows up, the gift of the anger is, which is why I don't try to control it. The gift of it is it says there's something that's not working in my life. What do I need to change?
Exactly.
So an example I use, you walk in the front door and you stub your toe in a chair. The first time you do that, you just ticked at your toe, you ticked at life. The second time you do it, you want to throw the chair out the window. What if instead I walked in, that made me angry, something needs to change. And I moved the chair 4 inches, and now I'm not going to walk into it anymore. So the anger was simply a message, what needs to change in my life or in my perspective, right?
Yeah.
Dramatically different than what's wrong with me.
Exactly. Thank you so much for pointing that out.
Yeah.
Because we always think I am not supposed to be angry, and I'm allowed to say no to you and still receive your love because we are fearful of the no being anger and rejection. So thank you. I really appreciate
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Thank you.
And I will close, Dharma, with the fact that anger, when it is feeling impotent, like there's no solution to this, turns into rage, which is why rage becomes about violence and destruction, whereas anger is about creation and solution. So if we can deal with anger, we never get to the state of rage.
Absolutely. I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, I like that. And I like it from the perspective of when you're creating something to put it out into the world that's for sale, whether it's coaching, consulting, a book, anything that's an offer for other people to buy, it's personal, right? It's a part of us that we're putting out into the world. That's why this conversation is so, so important. And this alignment piece, that word is thrown around a lot, but that's what we're talking about. John, let's go to you.
Yeah, 100% responsibility for our own actions, and to know that we always have choices, always have choices. And I like to kind of gamify it for myself. The negative thoughts that come up for me is I'll gamify it to my unique way. And that's, leading by example with my golf game. I've been playing golf for 65 plus years. And what I realize is it's so easy because it's a hard game. And to understand that and to know that, and then to know that those negative thoughts could easily come up. And, when you take yourself a little too seriously, as what happens is these negative thoughts crop up. And what I've learned from the professionals who are really good at golf, what they do is they have a pre-shot routine. They have a routine before they get into whatever they're going to be doing as far as the swing goes. And they will practice and practice and practice that pre-shot routine so it blocks out all the negative things that are going on in your head that can easily happen when they're playing in front of a million people. And if they can really get good at practicing not getting rid of the negative thoughts as much as replacing it with having a choice is a positive routine, a positive habit that they can create that will give them an opportunity to move in a positive direction and get rid of those negative thoughts.
Yeah, John, don't golfers call it running the program? Pro golfers run the program. Just run the program. Do the program. Don't do it any different just because there's, a million people watching. Which is a great message for your sales conversations if you want them to go better, your connection conversations. Plan the program ahead of time. Decide who you're going to show up as and be that person moment to moment, and run the program. And if you need a piece of paper that tells you the program right here on your computer, do it and memorize the program. Love that, John. Thank you. Love the
You're welcome.
golf analogy too.
Thank you.
I'll pass that on to my husband. Drew, let's go. Oh, we'll go to Mike and then we'll come to Drew. Go
Am
ahead,
I
Mike.
turn?
Yeah,
So
we're
it
gonna,
said,
yeah.
that
And
was perfect, Suzanne, because that dials into, I believe the question was, are your best qualities and worst qualities opposite one another? I think
Yeah.
was the original question.
Yep.
Well, I believe that our best and worst qualities are often the same, depending on how you manage it.
Ooh, yeah.
Got
That's
one of
good.
my, I've got one of my manifestation cards here. It says, my youthful energy gets me respect.
Hmm.
The reason why I have to remind myself of that, because my answer to your question, it's in the chat, is youthful. Problem is, people conflate that with childish or immature. I run in the speaking world, I run into a lot of people who think there's dignity and having no personality, and they put formal and professional on the same level.
Yeah.
So to be youthful, energetic without coming across like a child, just because I have a bunch of toys laying around here, doesn't mean I'm not like sophisticated and educated and stuff. So
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And that's going to make me say something I wrote down this morning for this conversation. Then we'll come to you, Drew. I wrote down something that I'd never heard of before, and it's got a fancy psychology name. It's called fundamental attribution error. You got to look this up if you're a coach, because we see ourselves as more complex. We also see ourselves with more context than other people do. And other people we see as simple. Their behavior simple. I either liked it or I didn't like it. And when we see our own behavior as context and, the circumstances matter, and the other person is always illogical. And I have an example for you to think about. I'm in a bad mood when I get home from work because I got stuck in traffic. Well, if my husband is in a bad mood because he got stuck in traffic, I'm now mad at him because he's in a bad mood with me. I don't give him the empathy and the consideration that I just had for myself because I have all of my own context of why I'm in a bad mood. Our clients are the same exact way. Read more about that. You will be so thankful that you did. Drew Duraney, let's go to you.
Well, at my best, I put in that I'm enlightening, and at my worst, I didn't put it in, but I'm a victim. I play the victim, and everything has to do with my level of self-awareness at that moment in time. Did I take that deep breath and align who I truly am when I put myself out there? And I always say that there's three types of people out there, three types of men, three types of women. In my case, three types of men. And before I did a deep dive in my personal development, I was that people pleaser who I had a ton of blind spots. So when adversity appeared, I didn't see it. I was living the life other people told me to live until stuff happened in life, external circumstances, and derailed my straight path in life. And on that more circuitous route, that deep dive in personal development, I then became man number two, which was the one with the victim, right? Life's doing it to me. That's a barrier, that adversity, not an opportunity. And I didn't change anything. And I know if I stayed that way on my deathbed, I'd have a ton of regrets. When I have a heightened self-awareness and I'm aligned internally, then I become enlightening because I see the adversity as not a barrier, as more of an opportunity to do something different and become a stronger man on the other side. Now I can be man 1, 2, or 3 in the same day, depending on how high my level of self-awareness is. And so it's on me to become more living in my conscious state than my subconscious, because my subconscious is going to put me through that autopilot of not seeing where the hell I'm going. So that's just how I look at it.
Well, I love what you point, and I would love Dharma's thoughts, and then we'll come to you, Jeanette. Dharma's thoughts on having kind of character. Drew described it as man 1, 2, or 3. If we know our characters, victim was huge for me too, Drew. So I see that, I acknowledge that. And when I found out, this will make you laugh. I love making people laugh, by the way. My victim, when I found out that I was leaning towards victim with a lot of things, my victim was offended. And I was horrified. Victim? Me? What? No. And it was so hard to wrap my head around that was that saboteur that showed up the most for me. Dharma, what's your take on those couple characters?
The beauty for me is that when we become aware of our characters,
Yeah.
that is when we can actually start to make an impact. It's when we still run away from it, we blame everybody else. Why did you cut me off in traffic? Or I am getting upset with my husband. I had that happen to me just the other day. I was like, why am I so pissed off at my husband? He didn't do anything. And I was, okay. It allows us to take a closer look at ourselves, and the victim becomes our judge in the way where we can have a conversation. It's not negative. It is not in a negative way. It's when we allow ourselves to have a conversation with our internal personas or characters that are showing up, and sorry for my language, nail that bitch to the chair and have a heart-to-heart conversation. Because in that moment, you confront the fear, you confront your insecurities, you confront the victim, you confront the person who wants to be the hero, who is really not the hero. And we're trying to glaze it all over with all of our, stop me if I'm going off on a tangent, never-ending excuses, explanations, justifications for why we shouldn't be holding ourselves accountable.
Well, most of those justifications or anything that starts up here is usually about the other person or the situation. So the key is to keep it in here. And John said something in the chat that we can't control our thoughts that pop in your head. Yes, true. You can't control that first one, but you can sure damn well control the second one, right? That's the space we're talking about that's so, so powerful. Let's go to you, Jeanette.
Good afternoon, everyone. Having coached for a very long time, like over 33 years, one of the things that I have found to be remarkable is some of those traits that we have that are our success traits, you know, like we get things done, people rely on us because we can get things done. The negative to that is we can become very impatient with ourselves and with each other. So I would say our best and worst qualities are really the same. And the key that I have found for myself and for my clients is taking responsibility. Who are you showing up as in the moment?
Yeah.
And then catch yourself. Oh, I'm going to be, oh, that person's just driving me nuts. Well, that may be, breathe. Now, how can you bring your A game to it? And I know it's easier said than done because there's times you have to really choke on it.
Yeah, that's the times where, you know, you put your hand in your pocket and you're pinching your leg, like not to say anything.
Or your
All right,
arm.
I'm just gonna stay present here. Hold on. Yeah, that's great, Jeanette.
Exactly.
Love it. Let's go to you, Nicole.
So kind of curious. So when you're talking about the fundamental attribution error, isn't that basically kind of like the theory of relativity? Like what you know, what you experience, and how much of that is truly you. And then the energy in the room, I think, does have some type of effect, but you're managing really how you react to that. And then saying, hey, I'm no longer the victim. I need to pull myself out of that situation if there's no good way to react to that.
Yeah, and I think there's two things with that. We always know more about ourselves, why we did something, how we did something, and what our intention was. You know, I gave a class on ChatGPT today on the basics of ChatGPT, and I must have said the word context 15 times. Give it more context. Don't worry about saving a prompt library for yourself. Learn how to prompt. And prompting is as much context as you can possibly give. And it's very similar here. We know all of our own context, but in the negative, when it comes to showing up powerfully with other people, or kindly, or helpful, or the person other people want to hire, we know all of our own context, but the other people don't. So a lot of how you show up has to come across in your energy, in your facial expressions, in your body language, and all of those things. And if you screw it up, people are either going to feel offended, or that you're desperate, or that you're struggling for clients and you're just trying to make a sale. Like that's what we're talking about. You know your own context, but you don't know the other people's context. That's just a simple thing that you know. And the more I understood that I can't make up stories about the other person, because seriously, that's all they are, is what you think they're thinking, nonsense, is what I'm going to tell you. It's never what you think. Um, Dharma, when we talked about this, about speaking your offer or being your offer, there's a piece that people want to over explain what they do, how they do it, the features of their offer. And we talked about something really powerful, that nobody buys your bonuses or your features or your modules. They buy who they're going to be after they do this work with you. And you said something, I don't remember what you said. I don't remember if you I don't know if you remember what you said.
Probably not.
But what I took from what you said was, if I'm not the energy of the after product of working with me, nobody's going to sign up to work with me.
Absolutely.
Do we all agree with that? You have to be your final product, or on your way to that final product, right? Because you might have an offer a year from now that's more advanced than where you're at right now. Yeah. Elsa, go ahead.
Now you just got me on a whole other thought that I can talk about.
Sorry. I do
No,
have
but
that habit.
it's like, I don't know how many of you guys know that I used to be interior design and window coverings. And it is like when I look at some of my first designs, when I first started my business, I'm cringing and saying, oh my God, that looks so amateur, right? And I think that's why that's happening for all of us here. The more we do it, the more expert. And I think that's also why we need to step back for a minute when we get in that, oh, it's not perfect yet. Well, compared to what you did 3 years ago, this is like over the top, perfect, phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
So that was what you were saying right there, just reminded me that. But there was somebody before that was talking about our strengths. And I know you know this, and some of the people who've done the positive intelligence know this too, that most of the way we get in our own way is based in our strengths. It is when we get, like Shazad calls it, hijacked, but when we are not, I like Dr. Dorothy's point of saying your lower self. When you react in that strength from your lower self, it becomes self-sabotage.
Yeah.
So if you're a high achiever and you force it through, that you just want this and you steamroll people, that's your lower self. That's that fear and anger that comes up from you.
Yeah, I think Bruce asked in the comments for a clarifying explanation of higher self and lower self. That was you, right, Bruce? I'm trying to keep up with the chat. It's kind of on fire today, which I love. That was you,
me.
Bruce?
That was me.
Yeah. So Dorothy has a way of explaining this that's really great. Would you mind, Dorothy? Higher
Not
self,
at
lower
all.
self?
It's really very simple. The higher self is literally is a higher energetic vibration. The earth vibrates at a certain pulsation, and so doesn't our bodies. When we are in the lower self, which is like anger, depression, those types of emotions, our energy is at a far lower vibration, a far lower energy passage. And it really becomes, we become more tightly contained, we become less vibrant. When we are in our higher self, it's like a violin. The energy is much higher frequency. It's a much higher pulsation, higher vibration, and we literally sit up taller. Notice when you're in your lower self, you're more crunched up and you're ready to collapse or to fight. Where when you're your higher self, you're sitting up taller or walking taller because the energy is flowing through your body much more easily. This is really all quantum physics. And it sounds fancy dancy, quantum physics and neuroplasticity and so forth, but it's simply just the vibration in your body and how your brain functions. And so because it's lower, it's calling us to shrink away from who we really are. And that's what anger does. That's what depression does. That's what those emotions do. Whether that is sarcasm or, gossiping, all of those things, it calls us into a lower level and we contract. Expansion is a higher vibration. And that's what happens when we're living passion, we're living vibrancy, when we're living in the truth of where we really are at a heart and soul level. We're at a much higher vibration. And people are attracted to you. Notice that when you're in that higher vibration, the people you're going to draw in, the clients you're drawing in, the friends you're drawing in are people who vibrate at that level. When you're somebody who's out there complaining every single day about everything under the sun, the only people you're going to pull in are the people that are vibrating at that same level. Now you all get together to complain about everything together, about how miserable life is, how miserable people are, and so forth.
Yeah.
So we the energy we choose to live in defines the energy of the people we bring into our lives. I hope that helps you understand.
Yeah, it's great. Dharma, anything to add there? Because I feel like a higher vibration is out farther from your body when Dorothy said those lower vibrations contract. What's the advantage there? When your vibration is going out from your body farther, even on Zoom, it's contagious. People can feel your excitement, your eye contact with the camera. When you're able to move. So for any of you that sit on Zoom calls, let's go. Get up into that position. And Dharma, you do such a great job of the breathing and grounded position. Like my feet are flat on the floor right now, and you back up a little bit from the camera and you take up, know the box, right? You see how I can do that with my hands, and I know my box that I'm in. I know how far I can go and where I can take the conversation energetically. And now my whole body has goosebumps because I just did that to myself. I raised my vibration in that moment by physically changing where your body is. So if you're sitting right now, stand up and be on the Zoom call for the rest of the time and see how it feels. Dharma, tell us your routine for that, and then we'll go back to Mike.
What I do is that before I get on camera, I get up on my tippy toes. And then I inhale and I allow myself to lower myself slowly down onto my heels as I exhale and ground myself. Bend the knees, sink down, and just kind of, oh, yeah, okay, I'm disappearing. Okay, inhale and come back up and exhale and arrive. I even do a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reset the way the brain is firing. Look to the side. Inhale, exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. it resets the nervous system so that you can be in the moment.
I love that.
Even if you're having a confrontational conversation, we don't like that. Count to yourself. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I actually, to Suzanne's, I stand up and talk, and I take a step back because the energy comes through the camera. So yes, we surround ourselves with people that we vibrate with. And then sometimes I will challenge you to even hang out with people who feel that you feel intimidated by. Because they will help increase. But let's find out what that actually means, because that gets into the offer and all of that. So we'll talk about that later.
Perfect. Let's go to you, Mike.
All right. To piggyback off of all this about your energy and your frequency, anytime I'm going to be teaching again starting January part-time, and a lot of it is to do with my frequency. Also, I've got all these verb and phrasal verb and auxiliary index cards and flashcards I don't know what to do with. Besides that, that definitely raises my frequency. And I can say that business-wise, when I do something outside here, I come back and good things are waiting for me.
Yeah.
You were talking about, do they hire you or your services? Everybody in here has services that everybody here can use. But it's really the experience of working with you is just, this is not quite as philosophical, it's more practical. Obviously, you want to buy the end results. You want that person to look up to you and be more like you to emulate your best qualities when it's over, but also the working relationship while you're with that person. We meet people every day who are reading a script. I help heart-centered, purpose-driven, soul-aligned individuals be the best version of themselves through upwards and downwards and inwards. And I don't care what you said, man. I don't feel it. Do I really want to put my vulnerability in your hands? It's the working relationship as much as the end result.
Agreed. I loved how you how you did one of those opening, that's so generic and so lacking of energy that nobody heard you when you talk like that. Chris, let's go to you.
Yes, I want to say something that I have learned in education, and that was the kern qualities of Daniel Hoffman. And there you see, when you have too much of a good quality, that it can be bad. And such things. And that's a very interesting thing to learn. And we did some workshops with teachers with it. And yes, they liked it.
Wow. So too much of a good thing is
Can be
not a
bad,
good
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
It's when you are like me, when you are a person that want to learn everything, then that's me. But that's not a good thing, because then you are doing other things, not that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So when Chris said too much of a good thing is not a good thing, what did everybody immediately think of? What did it put it in the chat?
Potato
Immediately, I thought of something. Put it in the chat what you thought of. Humor me here about the human brain.
Smiling.
Geez, this chat is on fire. Passion, potato chips.
And chocolate cake. Also,
I thought of chocolate. Yes. Too much fruit per day. Woo! Don't do too much fruit per day. No, don't do that. Donuts. Tina, great one. One donut is great. Two, I had a book years ago that it was called Yummy Yucky. It was for my son, right? And it was ice cream. Yummy. Too much ice cream. Yucky. And the whole book was filled with that. I wish I still had it. It was one of my favorites. Too much of a good thing. Knitting. Beans. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. All right. So we're going to move on to our next topic here. And I'm going to put it in the chat. And this is a bold question. When clients enter your world. Now, this could be not a paying client. This is like, when you attract someone, whether they meet you, join your email list, come to an event, what is the immediate thing you want them to feel? And you can take a few minutes and think about that. What does that look like? Even before you speak to them, what do you want them to feel? Dharma, let's go to you and talk about how your nervous system broadcasts what you're not saying out loud. This was fascinating to me.
Well, we've talked a lot about where we are at and who we are and how the emotions sometimes will show up without us even knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And if I go into a meeting and I am not prepared, the other person on the other side is going to know before I have even said a word. And how would they even know? Because it's in my energy. I still remember my very first meeting with Dr. Dorothy, and I even told her I had an emergency and I was frazzled from my very first meeting with her. And that is not how I wanted to show up, but that's how the universe wanted me to show up. So being aware of how would I want them to have a first impression of me? Do I need to show up as a persona or do I need to show up authentically? So entering the room, and I want to challenge all of you here, have you ever been in the presence of someone and you're like, oh, I don't want to be here? And you're kind of like, oh, you kind of move away. That is what I am talking about. If you just had a fight or an argument where you're not ready, or you didn't research, or you're not, and you're still stuck in this mindset of, oh, they cut me off in traffic, and we are still projecting how I am feeling, that's how I'm going to make you feel. My nervous system is already going to project whether or not I am intimidated, afraid, desperate, or really clinging. I need you, I want you. So showing up calmly, and we need to prepare ourselves so that we can be relaxed and show up as the person that we want them to see. Without changing
I would
ourselves.
argue it can't, if it's fake, it's not going to work. I don't, imposter syndrome, everybody talks about it in the online space, fake it till you make it. I don't believe in that for 1 second. It means you have the wrong ideal client. You're helping people ahead of you, and you feel like you have to be them. And how about helping people who are 5 minutes behind you instead? And that's a reframe as well. And then there's no reason to feel like you have to fake who you are and what you do for others. And I would also argue that everybody in the coaching space wants to be a high ticket coach. Everyone wants to value themselves at $10, $50, $100,000, but they just became a coach last week and their coaching certification, took them 3 months to get. And I met a 24-year-old life coach who wanted to charge $100,000 for her life coaching. Not happening. And I'll be honest with them. But when we really think about the transformation that we provide and standing in that, and our ideal client is correct, it's somebody who is behind us, if you really think about it.
Yep.
And I think that's powerful to really consider. If I feel fake when I'm showing up on calls, do I have the right ideal client? Am I serving the right people?
Yeah, can I, if I may add?
Yes, please.
You and I had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, I believe, and we were talking about attracting the right client is being honest with ourselves as well, knowing that sometimes it is not the best fit for me, but I have the right person for you. Being aware of our own capabilities does not make you a lesser than coach.
Yeah.
On the contrary, it makes you more authentic, trustworthy, and memorable. They're going to remember you. So to your point, I think that we had the conversation and said, oh, my perfect client is me 2 to 3 years ago. That is my perfect client. So that I can get him to where I am today. But I can't help and coach somebody who is ahead of me. I need to find a different place for them. But that is also being honest with myself, is that we all still need to learn and grow. And being aware of, yeah, I am not perfect. I know that. That's why I still have a coach. I'm probably always going to have a coach. Because when we are fully aware of our real, true client, who is the perfect client for me, then why would I say yes to work with somebody who is maybe not? Would I be doing them a favor?
Yeah, that's a lot of bravery to step into really owning that. In my opinion, I think it requires a level of thinking about yourself and your ideal client so that, and you have to understand your zone of genius intimately to be able to stand in it and stay there. And I think that's really powerful. Our last topic before we go, Dorothy explained something to me years ago, and I had heard about this, and I want to share it with all of you because I think it's the most transformational energy thing you can do before an event like this or an in-person networking event. And it doesn't require any meditation skills or energy medicine skills at all. All it requires is you owning the space that you're in. And if we're on Zoom and your box is here, I want you to know where that box is in your world, right? To be able to know the frame I am in right here and own that frame. Take up the whole space, use that whole space. That can be really, really powerful on Zoom. And when I want to make a point, and I know all of you notice this, when I want to make a point, I talk softer and I lean into the camera. I know you all notice I do that. That's on purpose, but I don't in the moment say, "Oh, I'm going to lean closer right now." It's an energy thing for me. Now, in person, this is even more powerful. Next time you go out to dinner, next time you go to a networking event, before you walk in the door, I want you to claim the space. And that could look like energetically sending yourself in and like giving the room a big hug. For me, I open a door to a place and I just claim it. And I don't put my hands out or anything. I just energetically, I'm walking into the space. And every time I do it at a restaurant or a networking event, whoop, heads turn and look. Who is that? Who is that walking in? Now, it's not because I'm dressed provocatively. It's not because I'm the youngest, hottest thing that's walking in the room. It's not because of that. It's because I do that energy thing. And Marilyn Monroe explained it. She could turn it on and walk down the street and everybody would recognize her. It was a body language. It was a way she moved, right? Everybody would recognize her. And then she said to her friend one day, look, I'm going to turn it off. And nobody knew who she was. Nobody walked by and said, oh, yeah, nothing. And so you can do that. Next time you go to a networking event, you can do that on Zoom. You can do that in person at an event. And I want you all to promise me you're going to try it. That's it. All you have to do is try it and see how it feels. Dharma, any final thoughts?
I had to practice that a couple of years ago. I was doing an in-person retreat. We were there for 9 days, and I was getting really kind of worn out because when you're doing a lot of energy work, you're going to need a little bit of space to kind of recover yourself. And I set it up so that I could walk into a room and be invisible. So completely flipping it around and allow myself to be invisible, that was my challenge. But to your point, I actually, if I need to go somewhere in person, or if I have a meeting, I prepare and I arrive before I am supposed to.
Yeah.
And I would even challenge everybody to try and pick a parking space that would be perfect for you so that you can just kind of pull up. It works.
Yeah, every time. Every time it's raining, I go to the grocery store. I'm like, front row, please. About a mile before the grocery store. Front row, please. Front row, please. Boom, there it is. Thank you. Love that. Elsa, go ahead.
Oh, I was just reminded when you were talking about the book, The Alter Ego. And it talks exactly about that. And one of the examples that stood out to me in the book was Beyonce. When she started performing, she grew up in the church, and her performances, she had a really hard time getting into her performances. And her coach, whatever the person was called, helped her step into an alter ego. So it wasn't really Beyonce that was going on stage, it was her alter ego. And as she became more and more aligned with that, she started becoming that new alter ego in the performing world.
Yeah. Super surprise for you. If you know Beyonce's alter ego name, put it in the chat and you'll get a special surprise from me. And don't just read the first person that puts it there. It's got to be instant. Put it in the chat right away if you know it. Don't read anybody else's. No cheating. No cheating. No, not Foxy Brown. Nope. Not Foxy Brown, but close. Tomorrow, Brendan and I are replaying our masterclass that we did last month, Clients for Coaches. You're all invited. It's a free class to register with a VIP upgrade. We made changes to it, of course, and made it even better. So if you'd attended last time and you want to attend again, you can. We would love to have you. The only other announcement I have is, do you like conversations like this? Do you like where we're going with these conversations? Awesome. Love it. Woo. John Taylor McIntyre, I had a dream about you last night.
Uh-oh.
Don't say uh-oh. Don't say uh-oh. It was so good. You were on stage and you were delivering a talk and everybody was clapping. And I was like, who's talking? Who is talking? And it was you. And then I woke up. So just thought I'd share.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks everybody for being here. Appreciate
Bye.
you. Thank you, Dharma. Thank you, Dorothy, for your input. Follow Dorothy. She's got some incredible things coming up on topics like this that Brendan is helping her launch. Super exciting. She's going to have a couple events and a 6-week class on the work that she's done with me in the last 2 years. So if you've known me for longer than 2 years and you see a difference, it's because of this work that we talked about tonight. So love you guys. John, great to meet you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your input. Faison, great to see you. Patrick, we need to connect again and talk about your tool. I want to get that on the calendar right in the new year if you're up for that.
John, I'll see you in a bit.
Awesome.
Okay.
Have a good night, everyone. Let me get rid of note takers.
Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of mine too.
I got it. And my note taker.